Discover the incredible journey of a new maid who transformed a billionaire's life in just 30 days. Maria's heart raced as she stood before the imposing glass doors of Ethan Harper's penthouse. The shimmering skyline of Chicago flickered like a million stars against the evening sky, but inside, it felt like silence wrapped in sorrow. The gilded walls echoed with tales of wealth, but the most vibrant part of the room stood out her spirit. Leaving her small town in New Mexico felt like jumping off a cliff with dreams as her wings. Scrubbing diner booths to pay her way through community college had sharpened her resilience. Now, standing here, she felt ready to tackle whatever life threw at her. Her first days as a maid in Ethan's lavish world were a blur of shock and awe. Marble floors gleamed under bright chandeliers, and she inhaled the scent of polished wood and fresh flowers. Still, she noticed Ethan, cloaked in shadows of solitude, rarely revealing himself to the outside world. He was a phantom in his own life. Each time Maria caught a glimpse of the sorrow in his eyes, she felt an inexplicable connection, pulling her to reach out. They began sharing simple meals together. Maria, with her infectious laughter and bright tales of her family, infused life back into that empty space. Each giggle from her lips melted away Ethan's ice. He learned to smile again, and the warmth derived from their late-night banter felt like a gentle renewal. She could see how grief etched away at him, and her hope flickered like a candle in the dark. But one day, a sharp confrontation shattered their harmony. Misunderstandings dug deep. Maria thought Ethan's well-intentioned concern for her future was judgment, while Ethan, caught in his spirals of guilt, felt his own vulnerabilities rise to the surface. Just as they were finally breaking through, an encounter with one of Ethan's elite associates left Maria reeling. The offhand remarks, laced with prejudice, ignited an inner fire. How could they dismiss her worth because of her background? The question burned deep. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That night, Maria stood atop a bridge, the city humming beneath her. She was torn between ambition and dignity. Could she outrun the ghosts of others' judgments? And if so, would she lose herself in the process? Her mind raced with thoughts of her parents, their dreams sewn into her heart. Meanwhile, Ethan grappled with his own demons, the weight of expectations forcing him into silence when he yearned to speak. Just as she finally started to carve her niche in this grand city, unexpected news reached her, sending her heart racing again. It threatened everything they had built together, and she felt the familiar flutter of fear. How would Ethan react? Could their friendship survive this twist of fate? On the edge of a choice, with the clock ticking down on their fragile bond, Maria was faced with the ultimate question about her place in this world. Would she move ahead together with Ethan or retreat into the quiet shadows from which she came? The next day unfolded like a scene from a dream, but the reality was anything but gentle. Maria's mind buzzed with the weight of the news. She had received a call from her mother early that morning. There was trouble back home. Her father had lost his job. The heavy silence that followed the revelation was deafening. Her mother's voice trembled, echoing the fear of uncertainty. They struggled to make ends meet, and Maria's absence in their small town gnawed at her conscience. In the penthouse, she tried to mask her worry behind a bright smile as she tidied Ethan's workspace, but each clatter of the dishes felt like a reminder of the burden she carried. The marbled tiles beneath her feet felt colder. Would she be selfish to focus on her life here when her family needed her? Ethan appeared, his usual shadowed demeanor more prominent than ever. He sensed the shift in her energy, but Maria quickly turned away, pretending to be absorbed in her tasks. How could she confess her fears when his own burdens weighed so heavily? She served him breakfast, keeping her eyes downcast. A sense of longing enveloped her as she silently wished they could share the truth of their hearts. But the barriers between them loomed larger, fed by unspoken words. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his voice breaking through her thoughts. "Just a bit tired," she answered, avoiding his gaze. The lie felt steep in her throat, but she couldn't bear to show her vulnerabilities. Ethan frowned, the lines of worry etching deeper into his forehead. "I understand that feeling all too well." The sorrow in his voice resonated with Maria. His loneliness echoed her own. Days turned into a week, and Maria's anxiety danced between her duties at the penthouse and the growing worry from home. Each time she picked up the phone to call her parents, a tide of guilt surged through her veins. She felt like she was caught between two worlds, one filled with aspirations and friendships, the other with love and responsibility. The city felt surreal at times, and caught amid the glittering lights, she often wished to escape. Then came a pivotal moment. One evening, as they sat together poring over books for placeholder events and upcoming meetings, an uncharacteristically loud laugh escaped Maria's lips. It cut through the tension like a knife, and for a moment, they shared an effortless connection. Ethan's eyes brightened with warmth. "What's so funny?" he asked, intrigued. Maria hesitated, her laughter fading. "It's just sometimes I think about how different our lives are. I mean, we live in different worlds." But for a moment, it's like she paused, weighing her words. "Like what?" he probed gently. "Like I could lose myself in this place." The vulnerability hung between them, a delicate thread. Maria searched his face for understanding, while Ethan remained silent. It was a truth they both felt, a possibility of connection that felt fragile yet promising. And just as the moment stirred something new between them, Maria's phone vibrated violently on the table, pulling her back to reality. It was a message from her mother, asking for help. Fear wrapped around her heart. "How can I prepare for this?" She whispered more to herself than to Ethan, the weight of life's choices crashing upon her. Ethan seemed to sense her turmoil and leaned closer, eyebrows furrowing. "Maria?" His tone pleaded for more, but she knew she couldn't divulge everything. What would he think? Would he withdraw again, lost in his own echo of feelings? "I have to. I need to think," she stammered, needing relief from the moment. She stood abruptly, leaving Ethan in silence. Outside, the bright city lights flickered like stars fighting against the encroaching darkness in her heart. This journey was becoming harder than she ever imagined. Deep down, a storm brewed with her choices wrestling against her conscience. They were at a crossroads, but could she find her way back to Ethan even while her heart was tethered to another place? As the shadows lengthened on the horizon, Maria's spirit sought solace. Would she find the courage to confront her fears? Or would the weight of her loyalties pull her back into the quiet shadows? The next morning came, and Maria woke with the sun spilling through the penthouse windows, casting stripes of warm light on her face. But instead of a sense of renewal, a heaviness lingered like a storm cloud above her head. As she rolled over to grab her phone, anxiety gripped her heart. Her mother's message from last night echoed in her mind, "We don't know how long we can hold on." She took a deep breath, clenching her fists. It was time to call home. With her heart pounding, she tapped the screen. The ringing felt eternal, each sound a reminder of the distance that separated her from her family. What would she say? How could she help? "Hello?" Her mother's voice was faint, strained. "Mom, it's me. Maria, sweetie." "Oh, I'm so glad you called." Her mother's voice cracked, sounding far more fragile than she remembered. "Is Dad okay?" Maria's voice trembled, the lump in her throat making it hard to speak. "Not really. He's had a tough time adjusting. But we're managing. Just a bit behind on bills." The knot in Maria's stomach coiled tighter. "I can help. I can send money." No, we don't want you to worry about us. You're busy with your life. Focus on that." How could she focus on her life when hers was falling apart? The walls of the penthouse felt like they were closing in, suffocating her spirits. She longed to be with her parents, to help them carry the weight of their struggle. "Mom, please," Maria insisted. "I'm here for you. I don't want to be just an idea of a daughter from far away. Let me support you." Silence followed. When her mother finally spoke, her voice came out small, cautious. "I know, Maria. Your father misses you. We both do." After the conversation faded into the unsettling quiet, the city outside felt more distant than ever. Each car honking and every pedestrian rushed by her facade. Ethan emerged, coffee cup in hand, his hair slightly tousled. "You okay?" Maria managed to smile, but inside, turmoil whirled. She wanted to lean on him, to share the heavy truth, but fear held her back. Instead, she masked her turmoil behind a brave face. "Just homesick." Ethan studied her, his eyes searching for her truth. "I get that. Want to go for a walk later?" Maybe she nodded slowly, but a voice inside screamed, "Why don't you confide in him?" As the day unfolded, Maria's heart felt like a pendulum swinging between her obligations to Ethan and her family. Each small interaction with him settled as a bittersweet joy in her chest, a reminder of the connection she craved yet couldn't fully embrace. Later that evening, as they strolled through a nearby park, Maria felt a flicker of happiness amid her chaos. The air was fresh, scented with spring blooms, and laughter echoed from children playing nearby. Her heart tinged with warmth, but then the weight of her family loomed, crushing the moment. "Maria, you seem distant tonight. What's on your mind?" Ethan asked, stopping under the soft glow of street lamps. Her breath hitched, his genuine concern drew her in. She opened her mouth to speak, but her fears caught in her throat. The anxiety gripped her again. "I just wish things were easier for everyone." Ethan stepped closer, his expression steady. "You don't have to carry it alone. I'm here for you." The sincerity in his eyes sparked something inside her, a glimmer of hope, of potential release. But how could she share her fears when her heart felt so divided? Suddenly, a sharp beep from her phone pulled her attention away. A new message flashed across the screen, and her heart sank deeper. It was from her mother again, urging her to come home. "Maria, is everything all right?" Staring at Ethan, who waited silently for her, she felt a rush of despair. Could she tell him the truth? What would that mean for their fragile connection? "I need to think," she murmured, stepping away, her heart racing in her chest as she retreated. As the city lights twinkled against the twilight sky, Maria's emotions surged like a tide. Would she find the courage to share her burdens with Ethan? Or would the shadows of her loyalties pull her away, sealing her fate with the silence that threatened to drown her? Maria stood by the park's edge, her heart pounding, her mind swirling. The glow of the street lamps illuminated her face as she glanced at her phone. The message from her mom blinked back at her, heavy with desperation. "Please, come home." How could she go home? Her life was here, tangled with Ethan's warmth and laughter, and yet, the weight of her family tugged at her heart like a relentless tide. The thought of leaving this life, of walking away from Ethan, felt both unbearable and freeing. She wanted to scream at the universe for placing her in this position. "Maria?" Ethan's soft voice broke through her turmoil. She turned to him, searching his eyes for understanding. "I really want to help you. But you have to let me in." Maria felt the pressure building behind her eyes, a desperate push for release. "Ethan, you don't know everything. My family is," she faltered, words trapped in her throat. "They're struggling." "Then let me help," he said, taking a step forward. His voice was steady, firm yet gentle. "You can't do this all alone." She was drowning in his sincerity, the weight of everything crashing into her, her fear, her shame, and her anger. Did sharing this make her weak? Or could it be her strength? I don't want to drag you into my problems," she managed to whisper. Ethan caught her gaze, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her breath hitch. You'll never drag me into anything. I want to stand with you. You're not a burden. The tension between them thickened, charged with unspoken emotion. Maria felt the walls of her carefully constructed barriers start to crumble. Okay, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's just my dad. He's sick, and my family is really struggling. They keep asking me to come home, but I don't know what that would mean for us. Ethan stepped even closer, his presence grounding her as she spoke. I'm here, whatever you decide. I just want you to be okay. It just feels impossible. Maria's voice broke, and a single tear slipped down her cheek. I'm so afraid of losing everything. Every impossible situation has a way through it, Maria. Just take it one step at a time. His hand reached for hers, and she felt the warmth radiate from his touch, as if he could shield her from the storm raging inside her. But could his support really ease her burden? Could love stretch across miles and family crises, or would it act as a thread that could fray at any moment? Promise me you'll think about coming home, he said softly. We can figure it out together. Together, the word resonated deep within her. A sliver of hope emerged amidst the darkness. But the question remained, could she find the strength to confront her family's needs without losing this connection? The thought flickered ominously in her mind. Would stepping back into their world drag her under? Before she could answer, the phone buzzed again. Another urgent message flashed on the screen, pulling her back into her reality. I have to check this, she said, urgency creeping into her voice. Ethan watched her, concern etching his features, but she needed to know. Panic swelled as she read the words on the screen. Maria, your father is getting worse. Please come home. With a shaky breath, she looked up at Ethan, uncertainty swirling in her chest. Would it be enough to keep her from slipping away? Maria? He asked again, sensing her inner turmoil. What's going on? I don't know how to answer that. She looked back at her phone, her hands trembling. What if this is a choice I can't come back from? As the night deepened, Maria stood at a crossroads, her heart caught between two worlds. Would she brave the tide and venture home, or grasp tightly to the life she had built? The answer loomed just ahead, but she felt more lost than ever. One thing was certain, the weight of these choices would shape everything. In that moment, Maria realized her next move could change everything, but did she have the courage to make it? Maria stared at her phone, her heart racing. The message loomed over her like a heavy cloud. She felt Ethan's presence, steady and reassuring, but her mind whirled with questions. What if she went home and everything changed? I have to, she hesitated, the words catching again in her throat. I don't know if I can go back. What if they need me there, but I can't leave you? What if I lose you? Ethan's grip tightened around hers. I'm not going anywhere, Maria. I promise. But you can't ignore what's happening with your family. They need you. And you need to be honest about what you want. His eyes were searching hers, and for a moment, they stood in silence, a bubble of connection amidst the chaos. But the reminder of her father's illness gnawed at her insides. She broke the connection first, glancing away, feeling the air thicken. What do I do? She whispered. If I go home, I might never come back. My family is everything. Ethan took a breath, choosing his words with the utmost care. And this life, our life, is everything too, right? You're not just their daughter, you're your own person. You deserve to choose what's best for you. But how can I choose? Tears gathered in her eyes, the conflict swelling within her. All I feel is guilt. Guilt for being here when they're hurting. Ethan's thumb brushed against her hand, a silent reassurance. You're human, Maria. It's okay to feel that way. Maybe I should just go home. The idea trembled at the edge of her thoughts, frightening and exhilarating at the same time. But what if it only pulls me away from this? From you? Ethan sighed, his expression softening as he took a step closer. Home can be a lot of things, you know. It doesn't have to mean losing what you've built here. Maybe it's about finding a way to incorporate both parts of your life. You make it sound easy. She let out a small laugh, filled with disbelief at the notion, but his words struck with a resonance she desperately needed. Ethan smiled gently. Not easy, but possible. You have the strength to face both worlds, Maria. It won't be perfect, but you don't have to do it alone. Just keep talking to me. The sincerity in his voice soothed her racing heart, grounding her for a moment. I wish it were as simple as talking. Then let us not make it any harder. Tonight, let us not worry about tomorrow. Just be here with me. They settled into a silence, the weight of the world diminished by each shared moment. But deep within, Maria still felt the fray of uncertainty pulling at her spirit. She wanted to believe that home was a bridge rather than a chasm. What if she began, hesitantly, what if I do go home and they need me, but I end up losing this connection with you? That's a possibility too. Ethan's gaze held her steady. If you choose to go, then we'll find a way to make it work. I promise you that. This isn't an end, it's just another path. Hope flickered gently in her chest. Yet a gnawing fear remained. Was she strong enough? Could she make both ends meet? Just then, her phone buzzed again, and the familiar name flashed on the screen. It was her mother. Maria hesitated again, feeling the weight of the moment draw taut as she contemplated answering. Should she dive back into her family's crisis? Would it push her closer to an answer or merely deepen her confusion? Go ahead, Ethan encouraged softly, his voice a comforting anchor. I'll be right here. With a trembling hand, she pressed the button to unlock the screen, the shadows of her parents' needs wrapping around her heart. The message read, Your father had to be taken to the hospital. Please, hurry. Her breath caught in her throat, and the world shrank around her. Would this moment reveal the courage she desperately sought? As she looked at Ethan, all she could think was this the moment that would change everything? She had to decide, and fast. Maria's heart sank as she read those words on the screen. Somehow, they felt heavier than the message she had just received. The question of whether to stay or go suddenly felt meaningless in the face of her father's health. Panic laced with a desperate urgency surged through her. I have to go. I can't wait, she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's brow furrowed, the calmness in his demeanor twisting into concern. Are you sure? What if you need to take time? I don't have time. She nearly choked on her own words, the urgency of the situation crashing through her like a wave. It felt wrong to let fear dictate her choices, but what if she arrived too late? What if I never get to tell him I love him again? What if? Her voice trailed off, the reality of those words hitting her like a brick. Ethan stepped closer, his hand wrapping around her arm, an anchor against the storm brewing inside. Then you go. You need to be there. Just remember, I'll be here waiting for you no matter what. She nodded, though her heart felt like it was being torn. It was one thing to talk about balance and living a full life, but this was different. This was her family. The weight of her father's health pressed down on her, and no amount of promises could fully ease the tumult in her soul. I'll call you as soon as I know more, she promised, though it sounded weak even to her own ears. Take your time. Focus on your family. We'll figure this out, he replied, pulling her into a brief embrace that made her feel simultaneously comforted and even more torn. She could feel his warmth, a sharp contrast to the cold fear wrapping around her heart. With a quick exchange of goodbyes, Maria gathered her things, her fingers brushing over her phone as she took one last glance at Ethan. She wanted to memorize his face, to etch the kindness in his eyes into her mind. But she couldn't linger, her family beckoned. As she reached her car, every moment felt stretched and distorted. The drive felt like an eternity. each second screamed at her with what-ifs that echoed louder than the rush of the wind. She could hardly focus on the road, her thoughts spiraling around her father, her family, and what she was about to step into. Pulling into the hospital parking lot felt surreal. The world outside bustled with normalcy while her own universe felt upended. She rushed through the entrance, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled her nose, a stark reminder of where she was. She approached the reception desk, her voice shaky as she asked for information about her father. The receptionist's pitying eyes made the gut feeling of dread twist deeper. "Room 204, dear," she said softly, visibly sensing the weight of Maria's worry. Clutching her phone tightly, she moved down the corridor, her heart pounding stronger with each step towards room 204. Each beat echoed the churning uncertainty within her. Once she reached the door, she paused for a breath, feeling the coolness of the metal knob under her palm. What would she find inside? Would her father recognize her? Would she find the courage to be present for him when he needed her most? Pushing the door open, Maria took a deep breath and stepped inside. The sight was overwhelming. Machines beeped softly, a rhythmic reminder of life's fragility. Her father lay on the hospital bed, looking smaller than she remembered. The sight of him drew tears to her eyes. "Dad?" The words slipped out softly, trembling with unease. His eyes blinked open slowly, and for a moment, recognition flashed in his gaze. But would she be strong enough to face what was coming? As she felt a wave of emotion wash over her, a sudden realization took hold. Maybe this was the moment she had been waiting for, not just to face the past but to embrace the future. And in an instant, Maria knew she had decisions to make, not just about her father, but about her own life and the love she had left behind. How would she go about rebuilding the bridges she had feared would burn? As Maria stepped into the room, the scent of antiseptic and the constant hum of machines sent a chill down her spine. The sterile environment felt alien and too quiet, her father's shallow breaths the only sound breaking the silence. He looked frail beneath the stark white sheets, a shadow of the man she remembered from her childhood. "Dad," she repeated, stronger this time, hoping that her voice could penetrate the haze of illness surrounding him. His eyelids fluttered open, revealing those familiar, warm eyes, although duller than she recalled. She rushed to his side, her heart hammering against her chest. "Maria," he croaked, the name barely escaping his lips. It was then that she noticed how much effort it took for him to speak, how each word seemed to come at a cost. "Yes, Dad. It's me." She brushed her fingers over his hand, feeling the coolness of his skin against hers. The reality hit her like a freight train, how fragile life was and how quickly it could slip away. I didn't think you'd come," he murmured, a hint of regret lacing his voice. "I thought you were too busy." His words trailed off, leaving a silence that was heavy with unspoken thoughts. "I'm here now," she assured him, forcing herself to smile despite the knot tightening in her stomach. "I couldn't stay away. I needed to see you." His eyes gleamed with something fragile, hope, perhaps? They locked gazes, and in that moment, Maria felt a swell of determination rise within her. She realized this moment wasn't just about her father's health, it was about every regret they both carried. "Dad," she began, but he interrupted, struggling to sit up a little. "Maria, listen. I'm sorry for everything," he said, his voice shaky but earnest. "For the distance, the silence. I know I was hard on you." A deep seriousness filled the room. She could feel the weight of their past years of misunderstandings, the words left unsaid. But standing there, facing him, Maria felt something shift inside her. She didn't want to dwell on past grievances, she wanted to find a way forward. "It's okay, Dad. Let's not go back into that. Let's focus on now." The truth was, she wasn't sure how to articulate her feelings. It was a tangled mess of love, frustration, and yearning. "You've always been my little girl," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I didn't understand how to be a father, especially when you needed me most. Tears spilled from her eyes, unbidden. She squeezed his hand tightly, feeling the pulse of life beneath her fingertips. No more apologies. I want to make things right. Let's talk, really talk, about everything. As she poured her heart out, long-hidden emotions spilled forth like a river. She talked about her life, her fears, the love she dared not acknowledge for Ethan. Her father listened, his face slowly transforming as realization dawned on him. That handsome young man, he cares for you, doesn't he? Maria hesitated, feeling a weight on her heart. Yes, he does. But it's complicated. Love shouldn't he be complicated, Maria, her father replied, a soft smile on his lips. Life is too short for that. Just then, a nurse stepped in, interrupting their moment. Excuse me, visiting hours are almost just a few more minutes. Maria replied sharply, surprising herself with the urgency in her voice. The nurse nodded, stepping back. With the brief interruption, Maria glanced back at her father. His eyes, once clouded with illness, sparkled with renewed life. Promise me that you'll take care of your heart, he said, his grip tightening around her hand. Don't wait. Her heart raced as she processed his words. Was it possible to mend not only the bond with her father but open herself to love again? Tension filled the air as the implications settled in. What if her father's journey wasn't just about healing, but guiding her through her own struggles? Dad, I promise, she whispered, warmth spreading through her. But as she leaned in for another moment, determination bubbling again inside her, she couldn't shake the lingering doubt about what was to come. Would she have the strength to face the love she had left behind? And with that thought hanging in the air, the door swung open. In walked a young woman, her bright eyes scanning the room. She seemed a mixture of nerves and determination as she held a clipboard close to her chest. Maria turned her head to see her, startled by the intrusion. The nurse stepped back, awkwardly nodding at Maria before focusing on her father. Mr. Gonzalez, how are we doing today? She asked, her tone cheery yet professional. Not great, but better now that my daughter's here, he replied, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Maria's heart swelled. Just moments ago, she was trapped in a bubble of uncertainty, but now there was a glimmer of hope. Their past felt heavy yet oddly lighter in the presence of this nurse. The warm light from the window seemed to brighten the room, bathing everything in a golden hue. You must be Maria, the nurse said, glancing back at her with an encouraging smile. I'm Anna. I'll be looking after your dad today. Nice to meet you, Maria said, her voice steadying with each word. There was something uplifting about the nurse, her confidence and kindness made the sterile environment a tad more comforting. Anna proceeded to check her father's vitals while keeping a friendly chatter going. You know, I've seen many families struggle, but it's incredible how love can shine through even the toughest situations. Maria nodded, feeling the truth of that statement resonate deep within her. I guess we're still figuring it out, she said, her gaze falling on her father. But we're trying. After a beat, Anna turned to face them. That's what matters. Healing is a journey, both physically and emotionally. She finished her checks and smiled brightly. And love is the best medicine, wouldn't you say? Yes, Maria whispered, the word escaping like a sigh filled with so much unprocessed emotion. All right, Mr. Gonzalez. Let's take it one step at a time, Anna said, her skills evident as she moved with assurance. We'll get you up and moving soon. As the nurse excused herself, Maria returned her attention to her father. Do you think you'll be okay? She asked, needing affirmation as the weight of uncertainty returned. His gaze softened, the worry lines on his forehead smoothing out. I think I just might be, he said, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. Having you here it matters. She felt a wave of relief wash over her, mixing with the realization that they could navigate this rocky path together. There was something healing about opening up and sharing their emotions. For the first time in years, she felt the barriers between them beginning to dissolve. I want to know more about you, Dad. About everything. Your hopes, your dreams, Maria ventured, a new conviction rising within her. I want to understand who you are beyond being my father. His eyes darkened briefly, a shadow of regret flickering across his face. But then he nodded, the determination to engage evident in his expression. I'd like that too, Maria. I have things to say, and it's time I said them. Just then, Anna returned, carrying a small tray with a drink and some medication. She placed it on the bedside table, her presence seamlessly merging back into the moment. Mr. Gonzalez, it's time to take your meds. Then I'll help you sit up a bit. As she worked, Maria leaned against the wall, reflecting on how they had walked into this room with a mountain of fear and uncertainty but now stood at the precipice of something new. Once you're feeling up to it, Anna said, finishing her task, I recommend some fresh air. It's amazing what a little sunshine can do. The suggestion struck a chord. Maria turned to her father, excitement bubbling within her. Dad, we could work on that. We could take a walk together. His eyes lit up, a flicker of the father she had always wanted to connect with. I'd like that, Maria. It would be nice. The conversation flowed easily as they discussed tentative plans, laughter becoming a melody against the backdrop of beeping monitors. She felt a bittersweet ache, recognizing all the time lost, yet rejoicing in the promise of rebuilding. But just as hope settled in her heart, the door flew open again. This time more forcefully, and in stepped Ethan, his presence instantly filling the room with an energy that both thrilled and terrified Maria. The unspoken question lingered in the air, could she truly balance this new connection with her father and the possibilities of rekindling her relationship with Ethan? Hey, I hope I'm not interrupting, Ethan said, glancing between the two with an unreadable expression. And as Maria felt the weight of that moment crashing down around them, she couldn't help but wonder could she handle the different paths unfolding before her? Maria, Ethan's voice sliced through the moment, pulling her back into a whirlpool of emotions. She looked at him, his bright eyes searching her face as if trying to decode the whirlwind of feelings swirling inside her. Ethan, no, you're not interrupting. This is my dad, she said, almost defensively, as if she needed to protect the newfound space they were creating. She gestured toward her father, whose expression was a mix of confusion and curiosity. The tension was palpable, stretching thin between them. Ethan stepped closer, eyes darting between the two, before he finally offered a small wave. Hi, Mr. Gonzalez. I've heard a lot about you from Maria. There was sincerity in his tone, but the words felt heavy, clashing against the delicate atmosphere that had just settled. Good things, I hope, her dad replied, a hint of humor breaking through as he observed Maria's wide-eyed reaction. She couldn't tell if he was teasing or trying to lighten the mood. Definitely good, Ethan said, chuckling softly. But a shadow flickered in his eyes, something unsaid lurking beneath the surface. Maria's heart raced as the weight of everything began to swirl again, her dad's fragility, the tentative connection they were just starting to forge, and the pull she felt toward Ethan. In this moment, she wished they could all just mesh, blend into something easy and uncomplicated. Dad was just telling me he wants to share his hopes and dreams, she said, trying to guide the conversation back to safer ground, but her words felt stilted. She glanced at Ethan, praying he would take the cue and not venture into murky waters. Oh, really? Ethan's interest piqued, his brows raising. That sounds profound. Yeah, we were thinking of taking a walk later. Fresh air is supposed to help, Maria added, but there was an edge to her tone. Would he understand how monumental this was? I'd love to hear about your dreams, Mr. Gonzalez. It's never too late, Ethan said, genuinely leaning in. Her dad looked at Maria as if searching for reassurance. It was a fragile moment, everything felt precarious, like a new deck of cards waiting to be shuffled all over again. Well, perhaps I can start today, he said quietly, his voice wavering but determined. As they talked, laughter crept back into the room, but Maria felt it mix with something else, something vulnerable. She wanted to enjoy this moment, but the presence of Ethan created a chasm that felt almost impossible to bridge. Maria, Ethan said suddenly, his voice low, pulling her gaze toward him. Can we talk outside for a moment? Her heart dropped. Now? I mean, Dad, he could really use me. I know. Just for a sec? His expression softened, but it held a gravity that urged her to respond. With a reluctant nod, she stood, feeling the fissures of her world shift beneath her like the movements of a pendulum. In that moment, she took a deep breath, unsure of where this conversation might lead. She followed Ethan out into the hallway, the sterile scent of antiseptic lingering in her nostrils as the door clicked shut behind them. The bustling noise of the ward seemed distant now, muffled. Maria, I can't stand seeing you torn between him and what we had, Ethan said, urgency threading through his words. What's going on? You're different here. It's like you're carrying the weight of two lives. Her thoughts tumbled over each other. She wanted to yell, to cry, to explain how everything felt fresh yet burdensome, how her hope and fear swirled into a jagged truth. Ethan, this is my dad, she finally managed, her voice shaking. I've waited so long to get to know him. You have to understand, of course I do, but what about you? He stepped closer, eyes fierce, yet something tender lurked beneath the surface. What do you want, Maria? She opened her mouth to reply but found her voice stolen by uncertainty. What did she want? In that moment, as his gaze held her captive, she realized she didn't even know the answer. And as she stood there, the weight of everything pressing down on her, a revelation loomed quietly in the corners of her heart. Sometimes the road to healing is as convoluted as the emotions that bind us. But now, a decision had to be made, one that would determine not only her future but the dynamics of all her relationships. Could she step into the unknown, both with her father and with Ethan? As she looked into his eyes, waiting for the answer to shape itself between them, she couldn't shake the question, would she dare to embrace both connections? Maria stood at the crossroads of her heart, feeling the gravitas of the moment weigh heavily on her shoulders. Ethan's gaze, filled with both intensity and care, pierced through her swirling thoughts. She had always danced between what she wanted and what she felt obligated to do. But right now, in the sterile hallway of the hospital, in the shadow of her father's illness, clarity began to break through the fog. Ethan, she started, her voice steady, I can't make this decision without honoring where I come from. But that doesn't mean I don't care about you. You mean a lot to me. The sincerity in her words rang true, cutting through the anxious tension that had clung to them like a heavy curtain. Ethan let out a breath he didn't know he was holding, and for the first time, the tension between them shifted. Then let's figure this out together. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. Life is messy, and so are the connections we create along the way. The weight she had been carrying started to lift. She had been so caught up in the fear of losing one of the most important parts of her life that she forgot to acknowledge that she was capable of embracing both. She could love Ethan while also supporting her father through this time. I want to be there for my dad, but I don't want to lose us, she confessed, an emotional tear escaping down her cheek. You won't lose us, Maria, Ethan reaffirmed, stepping closer and reaching out to wipe the tear away with gentle fingers. You're strong. We can build a bridge between both worlds. I will be here for you, whether you're in Chicago or back home. In that moment, Maria understood the strength didn't come from choosing one life over the other, but from finding a balance. She could step back into the nurturing role of a daughter without severing the bond she shared with Ethan. I want to share this with you, she said with newfound determination. I want you to be part of this journey, if you're willing. Ethan's face glowed with warmth, his smile like a beacon guiding her toward hope. Absolutely, I'm here for that. And you know what? It's okay not to have all the answers right now. With those simple yet profound words, Maria felt a surge of courage swell within her, and the universe seemed suddenly brighter. It felt transformative, like she was shedding an old skin. Let us go back in. With her heart beating rhythmically like a steady drum, she took Ethan's hand in hers, an emblem of their connection, one that had blossomed amid strife and uncertainty. Back in the room, her father looked up from the nurse's caring hands, his eyes lighting up once more at the sight of them together. There was a strength in their bond that Maria had not grasped before, a united front that transcended the walls of family expectations and unspoken regrets. "Dad, I want you to meet someone important to me," she said, her words steady and clear. "This is Ethan. He's been my rock through everything." A flicker of recognition crossed her father's face, and he nodded at Ethan. "Good to meet you, son. Maria has spoken a lot about you." It was a simple yet powerful acknowledgement of the relationship they had fostered. "Likewise, sir." "It's an honor," Ethan replied courteously, watched by Maria's hopeful gaze as her father took this moment in. "We're starting new chapters here together," Maria continued, feeling the warmth of both their spirits envelop her. "I want to make sure we can share everything honestly, moving forward. I want to rebuild this with you." "I would like that too," her father said, a softness in his voice that spoke to the longing for connection. "Let us reclaim our time." And in that instant, as the three of them began to discuss hopes, laughter, and the small joys in life, tears turned into smiles. Maria felt the past shift beneath her, no longer a place of darkness but a foundation upon which they could build something new. As they conversed, sharing anecdotes and laughter, each word became an affirmation of healing both for her father and for herself. She glances at Ethan, who listened intently, a reassuring presence. He appeared proud of her courage and determination to embrace the duality of her life. Maybe family didn't have to mean sacrificing those you love, not when love could connect them across all paths. Each step forward could be filled with possibility. As the hospital lights flickered softly overhead, Maria realized her heart had expanded. She was no longer treading water, she was swimming into a future of boundless depth, mingled with love, hope, and resilience. And it was beautiful. Now that she had faced her fears and embraced the bonds she truly valued, she knew this was the moment to take charge of her life. With both her father's renewed strength and Ethan's unwavering support, everything felt possible. Maria took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of the room to infuse her. Together, they could break through barriers, heal unspoken pain, and create a future rich with promise. She smiled at her father and Ethan, her heart full, ready to embark on this shared journey of love. What a journey it would be! So now, if you've been touched by Maria's transformation, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire real change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for content that matters. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this touching ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. This is the moment to make your voice heard. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.